Okay, everyone watching, you are seeing in real time what it looks like to be a victim of domestic violence and a corrupt judicial system. I came home with Pete after going to the Edgewater Chamber of Commerce event, and I was sitting at my desk working on my my presentation for my marketing class that was due today, because my class ends tonight, and I have banging on the door. I get up, answer the door, and it's two Volusia County sheriffs. Officer Becker, sorry, I'm still very upset, and this is what it looks like when I'm upset. Officer Becker, badge number 7033, that's what it looks like, or 7083. I'm gonna put this up for you guys to read. And Volusia County Sheriff's Officer Moser, 8746. These two officers, without even telling them why they're at my door, not a word from them, they start pushing me in my doorway, inside, grab my arm, yank it behind me, and then proceed to say, stop resisting arrest. To which I say, I'm not. I'm a little confused what's going on here. Would not allow me to make a phone call to my fiance, Pete. I started quickly going into a state of panic. And pull me outside so quickly that they actually let my cat, Willow, out of the house, where she started getting attacked by the neighbor's cat while this is going down. I'm begging them to call Pete to let him know what's going on, as they're trying to explain to me that someone called in a complaint that I have not paid my child support. Someone. Wonder who that someone is. Justin Serlick, Mary Serlick, Ira Serlick, or Laura Stiles. This child support is a corrupt contempt order that was signed by Judge Stasia Warren with Serena Baldocchino in November, behind my back. There was no due process whatsoever. They had my financials. They never looked at my financials. I never got a copy of Justin's financials, which is required. So this is a means to continue abusing me and controlling me while withholding any and all contact with my babies. That's not how child support works. It's either you lose custody of your children and you have no rights to your kids whatsoever and you don't pay child support, or you pay child support and your children are in your life. I have lost 5 years with my children. These photos were taken in Fox Lake, Illinois, when they were at Lotus Elementary and Stanton Middle School 5 years ago. These are the last photos I ever had of my children, because they have been withheld from me by the Serlick family illegally for 5 years now, as a means to control and abuse me. Well, Judge Stasia Warren and Sandra C. Upchurch allow this abuse instead of protecting my children and I. There is a corrupt connection between the Serlick family and these officials, these elected officials. Judge Stasia Warren, after she signed this child support contempt order in November, and I did a public records request with Court Administrator Mark Weinberg of Florida Circuit 7. Within 2 hours, she recused herself from my case. This is all on the Florida docket on clerk.org for everyone to see. When a judge recuses themselves, that means they're disqualifying themselves. That means that there is something that is happening behind the scenes that they cannot be a part of any longer. And when I did that public records request, that triggered Stasia Warren to immediately walk away from my case. At the time, I didn't know what it was. I took a lot of additional digging with the actual Florida Circuit 7 attorney, Joshua Griffith, in January of this year to find out what exactly she was hiding. And that's that she has a connection to the former state attorney of Illinois that should have arrested and pressed charges on Justin Serlick for abusing the children and I, but never did. And that's Michael G. Nerheim of Illinois Circuit 19. So, in the state of Florida, the Florida Supreme Court law is, if you have a judge on your case that recuses themselves, disqualifies themselves, you have the right to file a motion to vacate any previous orders they signed, because that recusal is admitting that they did something wrong. Something is not right. Something was not, for layman's terms, kosher. I filed a motion to have this BS contempt order vacated. And on January 8th of 2025, my new judge, Sandra C. Upchurch, told me to my face in the hearing January 8th at the Daytona courthouse that she is not familiar with that Florida law, so therefore she is denying or dismissing my motion to vacate this contempt order that should have never been signed by Judge Stasia Warren. Well, today, someone called in a complaint that I never paid this purge amount that Judge Stasia Warren signed illegally, corruptly, behind my back, violated due process, violated my constitutional rights, did not look at the financial report that I submitted, the financial affidavit. And I had two officers show up at my door today, put me in handcuffs in my driveway while Pete was at work in Port Orange in an attempt to arrest me because of this. Payment of child support purge. So while Justin Serlick is neglecting my children's education, neglecting their well-being, neglecting their mental health, abusing them by using them as weapons to continue hurting me and hurting them, I have been fighting to even talk to my babies on the phone for 5 years now. I have two Volusia County sheriffs showing up at my door because someone complained that I'm not paying this corrupt purge amount that should have never happened. This is abuse of our judicial system. This is weaponizing our judicial system to abuse other humans. This is pure corruption. The person that should be arrested is Justin Serlick for neglecting my babies. They have a 1.0 GPA for 3 years now. Thomas Serlick is 17 with an 8th grade education. He attempted suicide in Justin Serlick's care in Daytona and nobody told me. He's withheld it from the court system. My daughter Bianca has a 1.0 GPA for 3 years now in Volusia County schools. She's illiterate. She can't read or write. Well, I'm I was hired by Volusia County Schools to teach 7th grade science to children the exact same age as her in 7th grade. This is extreme judicial abuse. So Pete had to come all the way home while I sat in the back of a Volusia County Sheriff's car in handcuffs to pay Justin Serlick the purge amount because I'm in school and I'm not working full time at the moment. I'm doing freelance work for my marketing company while getting 2 nonprofits off the ground. So Pete Arnold is paying Justin Serlick to neglect and abuse my babies that I have 0 contact with for no reason other than abusing control. He's not just abusing me, he's abusing my 4 beautiful babies. Their whole lives were taken from them. They were straight A honor students. They were so involved in Boy Scouts and Girl Scouts in Illinois. All of my friends and everyone in the community knew who my babies were. And then they were stolen from me and then dumped with the actual abusive parent in Daytona while they continue to abuse me. This is not okay. My babies need help. They have no education. They're being kept from me illegally. My rights to my babies were never terminated. They were reserved on April 27th, 2022 in Illinois' court system by Judge Marnie Slavin, who just before that April 27th of 2022 court order, February of 22, ordered me in a court order to transfer the case to Florida. While I'm in the process of doing that, this Zoom hearing happened without me present, without me having representation there. This Zoom hearing gave Justin the rights, not custody, the rights to make decisions for the children. That wording is so key. It does not say he has custody. It says he has rights to their education, etc. Well, obviously he shouldn't, because they don't have an education. I don't know how they're going to survive in society when they're adults, when they have a 1.0 GPA for 3 years straight in his care. The whole Serlick family are high school dropouts. None of them have college educations. They stole my children's lives from me. They stole my children from me. They've stolen the last 5 years of my life from me. I am still very much their victim, and today proves that I'm still very much their victim. And all it takes is knowing the right person in these court systems to get this manipulated and controlled in their favor. And that person is Michael G. Nerheim of Illinois Circuit 19, calling the shots down here in Florida Circuit 7. It's not hearsay. I have the evidence. That public records request that I pulled December 19th of 2024 that triggered Judge Stasia Warren to recuse herself gives me that evidence. It is an email memorialized by my attorney that I paid to start this case down here in Florida, Mary Jane Nettles of New Smyrna Beach. She took a phone call from Michael D. Nerheim, January of 2024, very much my attorney at that point, never told me that he called, and then passed along his private cell phone number to Justin's attorney, Serena Baldocchino of Rice Law Firm, and Judge Stasia Warren of Florida Circuit 7. And that whole case has been stalled out since. Me desperately trying to talk to my babies, see my babies, hold my babies. I can't even communicate with them in any form, but Florida says that I can be a public school teacher. Volusia County Schools hired me to be a public school teacher responsible for 121 other people's children. But I can't even talk to my babies on the phone because he's weaponized them to get me to kill myself. And I have been down here in Florida, away from everything I've ever known, all of my friends in Lake County, Illinois, all of my friends in Kenosha, Wisconsin, my dad in Harwood Heights, Illinois. I came down here with nothing but my little pop-up camper RV and a strong desire to keep fighting for my children that were taken from me and then dumped down in Florida, 1,800 miles away from everything they've ever known. And it has been almost 4 full years of just fighting to hold them and hug them and tell them I love them. Because the Serlicks have managed to continue manipulating the court system for years. Judge Stasia Warren of Florida Circuit 7 belongs behind bars. Judge Sandra C. Upchurch of Florida Circuit 7 belongs behind bars. General Magistrate Alexander Alvarez of Florida Circuit 7 belongs behind bars. I do not. I haven't been doing anything but just trying to communicate with my own children that I carried inside my body for 3 years, that I love more than anything in the world, that I'm trying desperately to continue protecting while fighting an insanely corrupt family court system. My story is not unique. My story is not crazy. My story is all over this nation. As I've been connecting with other victims of this. This is a well-known family court corruption tactic where the abusers use children to continue abusing their victims because they don't want to be with them. Anyone that knew me before I moved to Florida in 2021 knows that I continued living with Justin until 2020. So many of my friends did not understand why I was allowing my ex-husband to live in my house with my babies. And oftentimes, most of the people that weren't close to me thought Justin and I were still married. And we weren't. I divorced him in June 2013. But his mother, Mary Serlick, told me, warned me, that if I did not allow him to keep living with the children and I, she would make sure that I lost any and all contact with my own children. So for 7 additional years, the kids and I put up with his abuse, his manipulation, his control. I lost someone I loved, that I thought I was going to marry, because of Justin's abuse and control, refusing to move out of my home in Fox Lake, Illinois, And after that, I realized that no man would take me seriously if I'm still living with my ex-husband. So I just sat single, miserable, pretending to be happy in the public eye. Pretending I was happy on social media. Look at what happened to Gabby Petito. We are conditioned to make ourselves appear happy and content in this fake social media world when it's anything but. He would tell me who I could go out with. He would purposely turn off all the lights if I went to a movie with someone. So I'm stumbling in the cold dark at midnight trying to get in my own home. He would interject in every single person that would come over to spend time with me. He would sit in the middle of the living room and be in between the person and I, so I couldn't even form a relationship with someone else. And now, in these hearings where you can hear it, I record them. The December 17th hearing with Judge Stasia Warren, just 3 days before she recused herself, he says to the judge and me and Pete on Zoom, "Well, Your Honor, she's living in a house that she has no claim to. What if Pete leaves her? Where are these children going to live?" You don't get to decide that. My relationships have nothing to do with whether or not I'm a good mother. Even if I'm not with Pete, being single has nothing to do with whether or not I can talk to my children, hug my children, hold my children, tell them I love them. He's literally using my children as bait to get me to come back to him. And then when he's not getting his way, he's putting out warrants for my arrest for child support that I shouldn't even have to pay, because that contempt order should have never been signed by Stasia Warren. And even though she did, Florida Supreme Court law allows me to vacate by right, any previous court orders she signs. It is Florida Supreme Court law. If a judge recuses themselves, you get to vacate it by right. Because judges don't just randomly recuse themselves. They recuse themselves because they either did something illegal, have a conflict of interest with one of the parties, or violated state or federal laws. And when I motioned to vacate that order, that contempt order that they tried to arrest me for today, my new judge, Sandra C. Upchurch, denied my motion to vacate it, violating Florida Supreme Court law. And her answer and reason behind why she denied it is in verbatim, because I wrote it down based on my ADA card services teleprompter. I am not familiar with that Florida law. Therefore, I am denying your motion to vacate. So now, the Serlicks are using that illegal, corrupt child support contempt order to try to get me in jail so I can't continue telling my story. Their goal is to either get me to kill myself or get me put in jail so I cannot continue to try to protect my babies that are being abused and neglected in Justin Serlick's care. Well, I am here to tell you that they can use this corrupt judicial system to bully me. But I'm not going to go silent. I will continue to use my voice to let people know that these elected officials are corrupt and they are harming us as citizens by violating Florida Supreme Court laws, not upholding Florida Supreme Court laws. And that is exactly why I put in my statements of candidacy for Florida Senate District 8 or Florida House of Representatives District 30. Because the only way to beat these elected officials at this game is to get at their level or above them. Otherwise, they walk all over our constitutional rights, our civil rights, our human rights. They walk all over us while collecting taxpayer money to sit in luxury homes. While they walk all over us as U.S. citizens, I basically have no rights. There's absolutely no due process. Nothing is being handled the way it should according to Florida Supreme Court laws. Nothing is being handled the way it should according to U.S. federal laws. These people are so beyond corrupt. They think that they can bully us into being silent. Judge Sandra C. Upchurch signed this writ of attachment February 19th, 2025. Nobody said a word to me about it. The February 25th, 2025 hearing did not address it. It's not in my Florida docket. It has just been sitting there silently waiting to be dropped on me. And that was an hour and a half ago. It was dropped on me, where two Volusia sheriffs showed up at my house, did not tell me why they were here, started pushing their way into my home, where I am being so incredibly nice to them, and I informed them they were on my cameras. There are cameras all over our property. They're monitored 24/7 by Ring. I informed them that I will be pulling the body camera footage through Freedom of Information Act, FOIA. It wasn't until I told them, after they confirmed the body camera was on, that I am a registered candidate with Florida Senate for the 2026 election, that they even allowed me to call my fiance Pete. I immediately asked them to call Pete the moment they pushed their way into my home, our home. They refused. And that's all in the body cam footage that I will be requesting. They pull me out into the driveway handcuffed, and I'm literally in a panic attack because this was just dropped on me. This order was signed by Sandra C. Upchurch February 19th, and nobody said a thing to me. It was just silently sitting there, obviously waiting for the right time. The right time would be just 48 business hours before the next court hearing, March 25th, at 10 a.m., where just yesterday, I submitted 282 pages of exhibits and evidence that Justin Serlick is neglecting and abusing my children. And coincidentally, only the first 9 pages are on the clerk.org docket for my case number. The only pages that are in that docket are the 9 pages of the actual motion to file the exhibits. The other pages, which are the actual exhibits and evidence of my children's 1.0 GPAs, unexcused absences, Justin exposing my children to drugs and drug paraphernalia, where he's smoking pot on TikTok, where my 13-year-old daughter that's completely illiterate is making smiley face comments on him smoking pot for the whole world to see. Him trying to sell his homemade bong for the whole world to see. Well, my daughter has a 1.0 GPA for 3 years now. She can't read or write. But he's got my children commenting on these videos. I was a public school teacher at New Smyrna Beach Middle School. I'm in my Master's of Business Administration with a 3.8 GPA. As soon as I finish my Master's, I'll be starting my PhD in psychology. I wonder why. But my babies are illiterate. They can't read or write in Justin Serlick's care. And I'm supposed to pay child support for that? No, because that's not how child support works. You don't lose any and all contact with your children for 5 years and be forced to pay child support while the other parent is neglecting and abusing the kids. That's not how this works. Justin Serlick, Mary Serlick, Iris Serlick, I know you're watching this. That's not how this works. You don't get to neglect and abuse my children and then bully me with your corrupt court orders, with your corrupt judge, and think that you're going to get away with it. I am now absolutely going to be filing my Florida Supreme Court case next week. I don't care if I have to take out a loan on my car to hire some big shot attorney. You better damn well believe that next week I will be filing my Florida Supreme Court case and suing all of these corrupt fucks. Because while my children are being abused and neglected, and you're bullying me through a corrupt judicial system, you get to sit there in your Ferraris, your muscle cars, your $1 million mansions paid on taxpayer money, and not have any accountability. No. 5 years has pushed me too far. This is my platform for running for Florida legislature. This is my entire platform, is disrupting the corrupt. And I will disrupt the corrupt. It's not about winning or losing. It's about raising awareness to this incredibly disgusting, corrupt family court system where all you have to do is pay the right judge, know the right judge, have the right connections, and you can just throw your weight around. It's obviously that's how it works, because it wasn't until I told the officers that were being very rough with me unnecessarily. I was being incredibly cooperative, and it's good. The body cams are going to be posted on my page as well. You better damn well believe it. And if when I request those body cam footages and they don't show up, well, wonder why. But I purposely chose my words on those body cameras and put both of those officers they both have a legal, moral, and ethical obligation to file Florida DCF reports on my minor children that I point blank told them are being abused, neglected, and exposed to drugs by Justin Serlick. So if these two officers do not do their job, they're going to be part of my Florida Supreme Court case as well. I'm done being a victim. I'm done watching my children completely fail at life in Justin, Mary, and Ira Serlick's care. I'm a mom, and I love my babies, and I will continue to protect and fight for them for the rest of my life. I will never go back to Justin Serlick, ever. You will not continue to use my children as bait to get me to come back to you, Justin. You took 25 years of my life from me. You're not taking another second. So, while I had an amazing morning with some amazing people at the Edgewater Rotary Club, announcing that Edgewater now has a Chamber of Commerce, networking with people, other small businesses in my community, getting my name and face out there, meeting two women that represent Chase Tremont and Corey Mills. They now have my business card. This is how my afternoon turned out. So Justin, Mary, and Ira Serlick, I hope you're proud that you destroyed my Friday afternoon. Because now I'm going to destroy all of you in Florida Supreme Court with over 1,200 pages of my docket as evidence of this corruption. And I hope that $1,094 that Pete Arnold paid you today actually goes towards my children and not just in smoking cannabis and video games and junk food and McDonald's. What it should be going towards is giving my children an education, giving my children real experiences, not sitting in their bedrooms playing a PlayStation and computer games their entire life. And I know that's what's happening because my son Charlie at Palm Terrace Elementary told me that's all they're allowed to do. They don't go to the beach. Charlie does not even know how to swim. They don't do anything with Scouts anymore. That was me. All of my children were amazing Girl Scouts and Boy Scouts. Everyone in Illinois that's on my friends list knows that. They knew my children were my life. They knew that I was incredibly involved with Girl Scouts and Boy Scouts with them. Straight A honor students, high honors even. Perfect attendance. I have certificates submitted into that evidence I submitted yesterday that miraculously all of the exhibits are missing from clerk.org in my docket. But, you know, I scan all of it before I submit it. So I emailed that whole document, 282 pages, out to everybody. So this writ of attachment that Sandra C. Upchurch signed on February 19th, over a month ago, and yet it wasn't even discussed with Alex Alvarez on February 25th, where he violated my constitutional rights and my civil rights, not allowing 14 court watchers in across this nation. Wonder why. Florida is an open court system. Anybody can court watch for anything. I court watch in Circuit 7 all the time for other women in this area, because I want to see just how deep the corruption is. And my case is the most corrupt of all, because at least those women have their ADA cart services working. At least those women have their court reporters. I'm denied court reporters. I wonder why. All those women have the Zoom videos actually recorded so they can then pull it from the Circuit 7 public records request. I'm denied court watchers. No witnesses to what's happening in my case. I'm denied my ADA cart services. General magistrates continuing to try to push the hearing forward, even though I continuously say in that hearing, we're not proceeding until I have my ADA accommodations for being deaf in my right ear. Which also means that there is a form of record because the ADA cart services records the transcript. And then you can actually pull that transcript through the ADA department of Florida Circuit 7. So of course they not want my cart services to working because that then means that there is a transcript of what is actually being said and by whom in those hearings. I am so beyond done being a victim of Justin, Mary, and Ira Serlick and this incredibly corrupt court system. I'm a public speaker. And attempting to jail me, to shut me up, as you can see, it's not working, is it, Mary? It's not working. You're not going to get me to kill myself. I know this has been your intent since the day I married your son, May 5th of 2003. You hated me since the day I hated your son, or I married your son. Because, I don't know, because in this sick way, he is an extension of you. You narcissistic, controlling cunt of a woman. Justin is your victim. You know that, Mary. You are his abuser, just like you're my abuser. And you hate me because I would never allow you to victimize me. I would never allow you to control me. And I would never allow you to abuse me. And you hate that. You hate not being able to abuse and control other humans. Because you yourself, Mary Serlick, are a miserable human. And you will continue to be miserable until the day you die. Because you are an evil, evil person. There is no saving you. There's no amount of prayers that anyone can give you, can say to God to save you. You are beyond saving. You are an evil, evil person. And I knew that from the day I met you, that I didn't want to know you. You actively seek out control and manipulation. And when you realized that I would not allow you to control and manipulate me, you dug your claws in even more. Until you stole my children from me, which you've been threatening to do for me since 2010. Justin threw me downstairs. The state of Illinois put an emergency order of protection in place. And then you email me in 2010 while I'm still married to your son and tell me that if I actually testified against Justin, you would make sure I never saw my kids again. So I don't. I write a letter to the judge, which I still have, by the way. I keep everything. I wrote a letter to the judge and said, you know what, Your Honor, I'm invoking my right to not have to testify against my husband. Because in the state of Illinois, if you are married to someone, you can invoke the right to not testify against your spouse. So you won that round because I was so terrified that you were going to steal my children from me. And then he continued to abuse us. He continued to rape me while I was on my Ambien. And I was paralyzed. Anybody that's ever taken Xanax or Ambien knows exactly what those medications do to your body. They are known as a date rape drug for a reason. And we can actually be consciously awake, but physically paralyzed. I'm not going to go into the details of what your son did to me for years while I was on those medications, because I no longer am. I haven't been on them since 2022 with good reason. But maybe you should ask your son what he did to me when I was on those medications. For that matter, you could ask a few of my ex-boyfriends, because they are aware of what he would do to me as well. Because I'm honest with the men that I love. Unfortunately, you don't even know what honesty means. Here's me being honest. I am a candidate for Florida Senate District 8. And I am a candidate for Florida House of Representatives District 30 because of you, Mary Serlick. Your corruption, your connections, because Ira is a volunteer PD officer with Port Orange PD. Okay. I'm going to continue to show you what it means to be an actual human that cares about our communities, our children, and just being human. I'm going to continue to get my name and my face out there and show who I actually am, not who you portray me as. You go around telling people that I lost my children because I'm a child abuser and I neglected my kids. If any of that was true, Mary, how did I pass a Volusia County Schools fingerprinting and become a public school teacher? How? If I'm a criminal that abuses children, how was I in a classroom in New Smyrna Beach Middle School where I was responsible for 121 students that are the same age as my daughter Bianca that you are destroying? My daughter cannot read or write. My son is 17, and the last successful grade he completed was 8th grade 3 years ago. He attempted suicide in Justin Serlick's care due to the bullying. Imagine that. Bullying at Mainland High School. It says it in the Daytona Police Department that the whole world can pull. 333 South Landvale Avenue, Daytona Beach, Florida, 32114. All you have to do, guys, is go to Daytona's Police Department's website, go to the FOIA section, Freedom of Information Act, FOIA, put in a request. It's free. That's the beauty of it. It doesn't cost you a cent. All you got to do is put in the request for a specific address and for a specific amount of time, and it will generate, it's supposed to generate it within 10 business days. That's federal law. 10 business days or 10 days, consecutive days. But that is our right to be able to pull a Freedom of Information Act on anyone or anything or any address that we have any reason to want to see police reports or records. So if there is a home near you that you suspect might be a registered sex offender or something like that, by all means, pull a FOIA. It's our right as U.S. citizens. That needs to be told to the public more down here. For whatever reason, it's advertised all over the place in Illinois, but for whatever reason, it's very hush-hush down here, even though Florida is very much a incredibly liberal state, believe it or not. Everything is public knowledge. But the local departments, it's almost like they don't want you to know that your right as a U.S. citizen is to be able to pull FOIA. Because oftentimes those body cams go gone, they disappear. Police reports disappear because, you know, everyone's connected with each other and everybody protects their own. So why would that ever be advertised freely? So here's me giving all of you advice. If you want to see exactly what I'm talking about in regards to my children and Justin Serlick, go on Daytona Police Department's website, click on FOIA, Freedom of Information Act, request all of the records from his address, 333 South Landvale Avenue, Daytona Beach, Florida, 32114, and you will get a Daytona police report of my son taking like 24 Adderall at the same time. He's openly telling the officers that he attempted suicide, and in that police report, it clearly states that he attempted suicide because of the extreme bullying at Volusia County Schools Mainland High School in Daytona. And then he was Baker acted. It's not a term in Illinois. But basically, they pull you in, and you're a threat to others or a harm to yourself, so they pull you in, put you in the hospital. So this happened. No one informed me as their mother, who carried him in my body for 9 months. No one informed the attorneys that were supposed to be protecting my children. Nobody informed the court system, Judge Stasia Warren, Sandra C. Upchurch, General Magistrate Alexander Alvarez, that are supposed to be protecting my children. Why would they? Because it shows just how miserably Justin Serlick is failing at raising and taking care of my 4 children, while continuing to use them to hurt me by means of a corrupt contempt child support order, where they're trying to get me thrown in jail for child support that should not even exist, because I have no contact with my babies whatsoever. It was done under the table. There was no due process, and this is how Justin got guardianship of my children in the state of Illinois, April 27th, 2022. It was done under the table, signed by a corrupt judge, Mary Serlick of Illinois Circuit 19, who a good friend of mine informed me. I would have never known this if it wasn't for him, so thank you. I'm going to not say your name to protect you, but you know who you are if you're watching this. That Mary Serlick was quietly removed from family court and off of the family bench after a murder-suicide happened that she was responsible for the case. So now she's on like criminal or small claims, whatever, but she was silent, not removed from the bench completely like she should have been. She was just silently removed from family law. And this same evil, vile woman is who gave my abuser, Justin Serlick, guardianship of my 4 babies, April 27th of 2022, put in a fictitious child support amount of $785, even though it documents that they did not have my financial affidavit. So where did the $785 come from? I'd love to know that, because at the time, April 27th of 2022, I had 0 income. I was jobless and homeless in the state of Florida, living in my tiny pop-up camper, just desperately trying to communicate with my babies. And so their corrupt attorney, Mary and Justin and I were hired, had that $785 just plucked out of thin air and signed by Judge Mary Serlick, and they have been continuing to rack up this fictitious child support amount since 2022, while continuing to withhold any and all contact with my 4 children and I. Why should I be paying you child support to destroy my children? I'll tell you why I shouldn't. Because you know damn well that my children were doing amazing in my care, even though your evil son was abusing us and controlling us and forcing us to live with him years after I divorced him. You don't deserve my children. You don't deserve an animal. You are evil people with an evil heart. And this corruption and this abuse will absolutely land you in hell. There's no saving your spirit. Don't even bother praying for them. The day they die, they're going to hell where they belong. I'm going to end this video. I will be posting the video I took of the officers after they took me out of the handcuffs after Peter Arnold paid Justin Serlick. You're welcome, Justin. My fiance paid your corrupt contempt order. Continue to neglect and abuse my children while exposing them to drugs. You're welcome. Your time is coming. The whole world is going to know the child abuser and the rapist that you are. I will make damn sure of that. I'm going to post the other video that I took of the officers before I went live. I will be requesting the body cam footage of these two officers so you can see how and what was said and what went down. They gave me their business cards because I told them I will be pulling the body cam footage through FOIA, Freedom of Information Act. In the meantime, I now have to carry this around with me everywhere I go. Proving that Peter Arnold paid Justin Serlick to continue neglecting and abusing my babies while withholding any and all contact with my children for no reason other than using them as bait to get me to go back to him. I've lost 5 years of my life with my own children. 5 years. I will never get back. Because I didn't want to stay married to Justin Serlick. I didn't want to continue living with Justin Serlick. All of these, and it's almost always men, that ask me, and I know I'm not the only domestic violence victim out there that gets this asked to me, but it is the most disgusting question that you can ask someone. If the abuse was so bad, why did you stay? I'm a living example of why victims stay with their abusers. Because the abusers then take your babies from you and weaponize them to continue abusing us. Because that's the only form of control they have left after you leave them. I promise everyone this. I will continue to use my voice. I will work my way up in the Florida legislature, and I will eventually get to Washington, D.C., where I can make some real changes in this country. Because this is so incredibly broken. Our whole family court system is so incredibly broken. It enables the abusers to keep abusing. It enables elected officials in a position of power to walk all over us as citizens. They want us to be uneducated, so we don't know what our rights are. So we don't know our constitutional rights, our civil rights. They want society to be uneducated. The ones abusing the system want U.S. citizens to be uneducated, so we don't know what they're doing to us. Have a good Friday, everyone.